assessment is required. If we talk about the assessment part is concerned, we can easily find out that to determine whether training is needed to solve this problem, managers should assess the following. Giving training to anybody, is it necessary that it is going to solve the number one, did the employee receive timely, relevant, accurate, constructive, and specific, you think that the employees are getting an specific feedback about their performances? Because it is very, very important on the part of the managers in the organization that they should give a correct and accurate information regarding the performance of individual employees. Then second is, were other solutions such as job redesigning or transferring employees to another job too expensive or unrealistic? Then comes into the mind managers that whether there is some another solution for this. Maybe going to redesign the jobs or transferring the employees to other jobs. Either it is expensive or unrealistic. The role of manager to find out that whether these things are unrealistic or really it is absolutely fine for the organization to do. So this is the first part of the process. Then if we talk about the second part, it's a task analysis. We have to identify the important knowledge, skills and behaviors that need to be emphasized in training for employees to complete their task. In task analysis, this is really very, very to identify the skill and the behavior of the employee. And then we have to emphasize in training for the employees that how they are going to complete the task effectively. Because it is very important that if you are just identifying the important task related with the knowledge and behaviors, you can always emphasize the employees how you are going to complete the task effectively. Then next point is that when we talk about the job, specific position requires the completion of certain tasks. Talk about job, it is usually said that it is a specific function at different levels in the organization who are required to complete the task effectively. Then next is the task. Employees work at a specific job. That means then what is the task? As you know that in the job we have talked about the task. Now what is task? Task is the work activity of the employee for a specific job. That on a specific job, what work activities these people are doing. Then what is knowledge? It includes the facts or procedures, because whatever the work employee is doing at different levels, they should know about the facts and procedures, that how you are going to do the job, what are the facts about that particular job. Then next is skill. It gets competencies in performing a task. It means competencies. That means that what are the basic skill of individual, how they are going to perform the task. Next is ability. This includes the physical and mental capability to perform a task. As in the organization, sometimes it happens that because of a lot of pressure, people are not able to complete the task or the job. So in that situation, they say that this includes the physical and mental capabilities of an individual to perform the task. Because in the organization, there are some work which needs uh, physical attendance, or some tasks which need mental attendance. So in that case, they are saying that ability, how the person is going to task in the given time period. Then there are some examples which I have given here, which is the relationship between job issues, critical process issues, and business issues. So I have divided this part into 3 points. First is critical job issues. What are critical job issues? Critical job issues includes delayed results, no complete order forms, 100% accurate orders, 10% incomplete order form, and 83% accurate orders. This is critical job issues. Then if we talk about the critical process issue, this is order cycle time of 3 days, order cycle time of 3 days. This is the process way. And what is the third point? Business issues, market share of 60% or market share of 48%. So these are the examples and the relationship between the critical job issues, process, and the business issues. Now, the next point in need assessment process is steps involved in a task analysis. As we have discussed about the task, which includes the ability, job, etc. Now we are going to talk about the different steps which are involved in task analysis. Number one is to select the job or jobs to be analyzed. That means it is the role of the manager or the HR department to select the job which they are planning to analyze. And then second is develop a preliminary list of tasks performed on the job. Then apart from selecting the job to be analyzed, and then they have to do a or develop a preliminary list of tasks performed on that job by interviewing and observing employees and their managers. This can only be done with the help of this is assessment that we have to interview the employee as well as managers, observe the employees and managers, and their by the help of the observing and interviewing those people, we are in a position to identify whether the things are in a proper manner or not. Then talking with others who have performed a task analysis. It is the role of the managers or it is the role of other part also that they have to talk to these things with the other people who are going to perform the task or has already performed this task. Then another step which in task analysis is validity or confirm the preliminary list of tasks. Then we have to see, as I described to you, that we have developed a preliminary list of tasks. So we have to confirm and validate that particular task. That tasks are to be taken by the employees. Then once the task has been identified, it is important to identify knowledge, skill, ability necessary to successfully perform the task. So they are saying that when we are in a position to identify the task, that okay, this is the task, we have to complete this task. So on the basis of that, we have to see the knowledge, skill, ability regarding the employees are concerned who are successfully going to perform this. So this is very, very important on the part of managers who can identify how the task can be developed and how they are identify the people who can perform the task effectively. Then there are key points to remember when conducting a task analysis. Number one, a task analysis should identify both that employees are actually doing and what we doing on the job. That means when we are identifying the task, we have to identify both the things. That what actually employee and what they should be doing on the job. Right? Second is it begins by breaking job into and tasks. That means that we are breaking the task analysis into two parts, which is jobs into duties and tasks. Then we have to use more than two methods for collecting task information to increase the value of the analysis, as I have told you this thing. So for task analysis to be useful, information need to be collected from subject matter experts. Subject matter experts includes the job incumbents, managers, and employees familiar with the job. They are saying that as we are describing to you that we have to collect at least two methods for conducting the task analysis. So this is collected from the subject matter experts, and this subject matter experts includes job incumbents who are looking for the job, managers, and the employees familiar with the particular job. In deciding how to evaluate the task, the focus should be on tasks necessary to accomplish the company's goal and objective. This is very important that we have to see that what the task employees are to do. they should keep one thing in mind, that they are going to look into the company's goals and objectives to be achieved at any cost. These may not be the tasks that are the most difficult and take most of time. These are not very important or difficult tasks which take a lot of time from the employees. So it can be done very effectively also. Then competency model. As I was talking to you about the competency, what is competency? So if we talk about the competency, a competency is the area of personal capabilities that enable employees to successfully perform their jobs by achieving outcomes or successful performing the task. If somebody asks you that what do you mean by competency, you have to say that it is the personal capability that enable the employee. That means it is the capability of the employee which enable them to do the successful performance of their jobs by achieving outcomes or successful performing the task. It can be knowledge, skill, attitude, values, or personal character. So if we break the competencies into different parts, it includes the knowledge of employee, skill of the employee, attitude of the employee, value of the employee, and the personal characteristics of the employee. Then what is competency model? It identifies the competencies necessary for the job. That means that competency model means that they are going to identify the competencies which are necessary for the jobs. Then there are examples of competencies and a competency model. System architects are there, data migrations are there, documentations are there. I'm not going to discuss this thing because these are the only examples, and maybe you can just go through it and you can find out examples, how appropriate these examples are related with competency mapping are concerned. Now we are going for another point which is known as process used in developing a competency mapping or the competency model. Then what is the basic process? The first point is we have to conduct business and if strategy analysis. That what are the basic if strategies there related with the business. Then we have to identify the jobs position or job families. That means we have to identify that what are the jobs on which we are talking regarding the competency models are and what are the positions for that. And the third is we have to conduct the interviews and focus groups with top performers. That means that organizations, we have to make questionnaire, and on the basis of the questionnaire, we have to conduct the interviews, right from the top people to the lower people, but to whom we are going to do this? To the people who are performing well. Then we have to develop the competencies and a competency model. After doing the interviews, after focusing on the groups and the top performance, whatever results are coming, then we have to develop the competencies and the competency model. And then we have to validate and review the model. Then we have to make sure that these models are absolutely fine, and according to that, we have to develop the model. So this is the basic process. If we talk about the whole process, you can see that this process consists of few things. First, detecting the business and strategy analysis. Number two is identify the job and the position. Number three is conduct the interviews and the performance on the focus groups. Number four is developing the competencies and a competencies model. And number five is validate and review the model. Then what are the scopes of need assessment? As we were discussing about that, need assessment is required whenever we are going for any training and development program. So what are the basic scopes of need assessment? Time constraints can limit the length and detail obtained from a need assessment. That means that whatever the time are going to take when we are going for the and development, if we are doing the need assessment, the scope is that we can limit the length and the detail regarding the time is concerned. Then a rapid need assessment refers to an assessment that is done quickly and accurately, but without sacrificing the quality of the process or the outcome. That means that rapid needs assessment means that we have to done these things in quick manner and accurate manner. but without hampering the quality of the process or the outcome. That means whatever the things are there, we cannot hamper those things. On the basis of that, we can just, make the decision fast, assessment fast, and the accurate thing should be there. Then there are 7 ways to conduct a rapid assessment. What is learning and what is learned? If we'll talk about this, as we have discussed about, there are different ways how we can do the need assessment. Now that we are going to talk about the learning, what is learning? It is a relatively permanent change in human capabilities that is not a result of growth process. That means if we talk about the growth of any human being, it doesn't mean that it is the being, but it is a relatively permanent change in capabilities. That means changes which are taking place in the human capabilities, differentiation from the one person to another person, and it is not going to result of growth process. That means it is not going to help in growth process of the individual. Then these capabilities are related to specific learning outcome. So if we talk about the learning outcomes, if we talk about the verbal information, description of capabilities and the example. So let's take verbal communication. We have to state, tell or describe previously stored information. Example, 3 reasons of the following company safety procedure. This is verbal information. Number 1 is intellectual skills. This applies to the generalized concepts and to solve the problems and generate novel products. That means that you are going to generalize the concepts and rules to solve problems. Then example is design code a computer program that meets the customer requirement. This is intellectual skills. Then motor skills, a physical action with precision and time. Example is shoot a gun and consistently hit a small moving target. This is a motor skill that you are observing the thing which is moving from left to right or right to left, and you are continuously targeting that particular moving target. Then attitudes. Choose a personal course of action. That what action you are going to choose for completing the task. Example is to choose to respond to all incoming mail within 24 hours. This is your attitude that you are going to complete the answer of all those mails. Then cognitive strategies. Manage one's own thinking and learning process. That means that you have to manage your own learning process and the thinking process. And on the basis of that, you have to. Example is selective use 3 different strategies to diagnose engine malfunction. That means if we talk about the strategies, that means that you are identifying 3 different areas to diagnose engine malfunction. That is, there is an engine of a car, it is not working, and you are in a position to find out that okay, these are the 2-3 methods on the basis of which we can identify that why engine is. So this is your cognitive strategies. These are the learning outcomes. Then what is the learning? Number 1 is reinforcement theory. That means whatever we are describing to the employees, it has to reinforce again and again. Then social learning theory. This is related with societal, environmental areas. Then goal theories. These are the theories which are related with the different theories. Then need theories are there, expectancy is there, adult learning theory is there, and information processing theory is there. These are the part of the training and development and the need spend. So first of all, we are going to talk about the reinforcement theory. This emphasizes that people are motivated to perform or avoid certain behavior because of past outcomes that have resulted from those behaviors. That means reinforcement theory says that you are motivating the people to perform or avoid the certain behaviors because of the past outcome. Maybe your past outcome is not very good. So in that situation, you have to reinforce this to the employees that you have to change the behavior And we have to see that what past behavior you have done. You have to change the behavior. Several processes in reinforcement theory are positive reinforcement, negative reinforcement, extinction, and punishments are there. So the process in reinforcement theory, like positive reinforcement, negative reinforcement, extinction, and the punishment. Then the trainer need to identify what outcomes the learner find most positive and negative. Yes, when we have the positive and negative reinforcement theory is concerned, it is the role of the trainer to identify after giving the whole training and the learner find out which one is the positive side or which one is the negative side of the learning process. And the trainer then need to link these outcomes to acquiring knowledge, skill, or changing behavior. Then it is the role of the to correlate or make a link with these outcomes to learners who are going to acquiring the knowledge, skills, or the changing behaviors. Then trainers can withhold or provide job-related personal and career-related benefits to learners who master program content. That means they are saying that trainers can withhold or provide job-related personal and career-related benefits to learner. That means in case if they are finding that the learners are not up to the mark, in that situation, what they will do, they will withhold or provide job-related personal or career-related benefits to learners regarding the master program contents are concerned. Then there are different type of schedules of reinforcement, which is known as ratio schedule, interval schedules, etc. Then social learning theory. What is social learning theory? This emphasizes that people learn by observing other people, whom they believe are credible and knowledgeable. This is usually said that when the people are giving a training, when the learners are learning, we have to give some example of some people or maybe some models which learners are able to understand the thing much more effectively, that the model who is going to be quoted in this learning theory process are credible and knowledgeable. That's why they are as a model working in that particular advertisement. The theory recognizes that behavior that is reinforced or rewarded tends to be repeated. That means that this theory recognizes the behavior that is either reinforced or rewarded tend to be repeated. That means it can be repeated again and again in the form of the reward or the reinforcement. Then learning new skills or behavior comes from where? Whatever we are learning at the time of the need assessment and training, then we have to see that the directly experiencing the consequences of using a behavior or a skill. That means we are experiencing the consequences of using a behavior or a skill, or the process of observing others and seeing the consequences of their behavior. That means that we have to identify the process of observing others and seeing the consequences of their behavior. That during the social learning theory, we have to see and we have to observe the other people, what exactly they are doing and what are the consequences of their behavior. Then learning is also influenced by person's self-efficacy. Yes, of course. Whatever the capability of that person is, it is also influenced by that, which is a person's judgment about whether he or she can successfully learn knowledge and skill. That means it is the personal efficacy of the individual who can tell this thing, that whether he or she can be successfully learn the knowledge and the skill we are going to give to them during the learning practices are concerned in the organization. Then a person's self-efficacy can be increased using several methods: verbal persuasion, logical verification, observation of others, and past accomplishment. That means they are saying that when we are talking about the different self-efficacy, it can be increased using several methods. Verbal persuasion, that how we are persuading the people verbally. Then logical verification, how logically we are dealing with those people, and observation of others, then how we are going to observe that thing. Then there is a process of social learning theory. What is the process of social learning theory? Number one is attention, which includes model stimuli, training, and characteristics. The next is retention, coding, organization, and rehearsal. Third is motor reproduction, physical capability and accuracy and the feedback, and the motivational process is the reinforcement. Then it will going to match the modeled performance. So if we talk about the processing of social learning theory, it contains four parts. One is attention, second is retention, third is motor reproduction, and fourth is motivational process. So these are the four things which you have to understand, that when we are talking about the learning theory and when we are talking about the process of social learning theory, these are the things which we have to take into consideration. Then goal theories. What are the goal theories? It is other word, it is known as the goal setting theories. Assumes that behavior results from a person's goals and intention. That means it is assumed that the behavior are the results from a person's conscious goals and intention. That means what are the particular goals and the intentions are of a person. It is related with the conscious of that particular person, that what he or she thinks about a particular job to be completed. Then goals influences a person's behavior. How the goals are going to influence the person's behavior. Number one is directing the energy and attention, sustaining the effort over time, motivating the person to develop strategies for goal attainment. That means if we talk about the influence of goals on a person's behavior, it is like that they are directing, increasing the energy and the attention of that particular person. Then sustaining the effort over time. That means the effort the person is doing while performing the job, it has to be sustained over time period. And then next point is the motivate the person to develop the strategies for goal attainment. That means that we have to motivate people in such a manner so that he can develop the strategies for goal attainments. Then goal theories. What are the goal theories? It is used in training program designing. That means that whenever you are designing program, you have to take these goal theories into that. It will help you out to design the program in very effective. Then it suggests that learning can be facilitated by providing trainees with specific challenging goals and objectives. That means they are saying when there is a learning process going on, it facilitates by providing the trainees with specific challenges and objectives of the organization. Then the influence of goal setting theory can be seen in the development of training lesson plans. That whatever the training lesson plans are, at that situation you can find out that the goal setting theory is going to be affected. So it is very, very important to find out that how you are going to include the goal theories into setting of the program or the designing of the program. Then goal orientation. What do you mean by goal orientation? The goal held by a trainee in a learning situation includes learning and performance orientation. That means that whatever the goals are given to the individual employee, in the orientation thing, they are included the learning process and the performance of the orientation process. That whatever they are performing, it totally depends on the orientation with the help of the learning theories. Then what is learning orientation? Trying to increase ability or competence in a task. That means learning orientation means that when you are learning the different goal theories, then different other theories, you have to see that how it will increase the ability or the competency to complete the task. Then performance orientation, what do you mean by this? Learners who focus on task performance and how they compare to others. That means that the learners are used to focus on the task performance. That whatever the tasks are going to be performed, learner has to understand that thing, and they have to compare this with other people also, so that the things will be in a better manner for these people. Then goal orientation theories, it affects the amount of effort a trainee will expend in learning. That means that goal orientation theory says that it affects the amount of effort a trainee. That means trainee, what effort trainee is going to do will expend in the learning. That means motivation to learning. That it will affect the uh, effort which trainees are doing while motivating to learning the different aspects of the organization. Then learners with high learning orientation will direct greater attention to the task and learn for the sake of learning in comparison to learners with a performance orientation. There are some learners who are highly learning orientation capacity. So what they usually do, they put up more great attention to the task and learn the sake of the learning, which is in comparison to learners that they are going for the performance orientation task and they are going to perform that task effectively. Then learners with a performance orientation will direct more attention to performing well and less effort to learning. This line, I am just repeating it again, that learners with a performance orientation will direct more attention to performing well and less effort to learning. That means that the learners who are learning with a performance orientation in their mind will direct the more attention to performing well and less effort on the learning process. That means that, as I have told you this thing, that there are high learner orientations. So these learners are basically concerned about the performance orientation and they are performing well, but they are putting less effort to the learning part is concerned because they are concerned about the practical part of the things. So in that situation, when we are talking about the practical part, it is always said that the people who are really performing as per the practical aspects of the organizations are concerned, they are performing much more better than learning the things more effectively. So this is about the need assessment theories, in which we have talked about the reinforcement theory, we have talked about the social theories, we have talked about the learning theories, we have talked about the social process theories, that how the process begins and how it ends, and what are the things which we have to take into consideration when we are talking about these theories. And apart from that, we have discussed about the process of social learning theory, as I have discussed with you. Then we have discussed about other different type of goal orientation theories also. We have talked about the goal theory, we have talked about the goal orientation theories also. So this is all about the need assessment. Now you are in a position to understand that why need assessment is very, very important for any organization who are going for training and development for the people who have been selected for the organization's jobs, or those who are already working in the organization in different capacity, right from the managers to like a supervisor to the lower point. Because as I have told you this thing again and again, that training is the must part of the organization's growth. Because as I have told you initially, that it is important to find out that which type of training is required by which type of person at what time they require the training. We have to identify this thing, and then we have to see that how we are putting up all these learning theories, how this social theory, how reimbursement theories, and how we are going to assess all these things, and on the basis of that we identify the people and prepare a whole design in such a manner that the people are able to go for the learning theories effectively. So on the basis of that, I have just given some MCQs also, which I think it is very easy to understand. Let me read out some MCQs. The three organizational level are what? Corporate level, business level, functional level. B, corporate, business unit level and functional level. C, corporate strategy level, business unit level, functional level. Fourth, corporate strategy level, business level and specific level or specialty level. Then, which of the following is an example of competing on quick response? A company produces its product with less raw material waste than its competitors. A company offers more reliable products than its competitors. A company products are introduced into the market faster than its competitors, or a company research and development department generates many ideas for new products. What is meant by the term stakeholder? A person who is not related with the business, a person who is related with the business, a person who owns the business, a person who purchases the share of business. I think these are very simple and common questions which I think everybody can give the answer for that. Then the goal of the organization, filling the blank, is to capture the heart and the mind of employees, challenge them and evoke their emotions and dreams. What is that called? Vision, mission, culture, or strategy. Then there are some other questions also, which says a company mission is what? It is a statement of a company's business in which it intends to compete and the customer which it intends to serve. Is an internally focused affirmation of the organization financial, social, and ethical goals. Is mainly intended to emotionally inspire employees and other stakeholders and is developed by a company before the company developed its vision. Then I've given another question here which says product differentiation refers to what? Ability of the buyers of a product to negotiate a lower price, response of incumbent firm to new entrants, belief in by customer that a product is unique, and fact that as more of a product is produced, the cheaper it become as per unit is concerned. Then, which of the following is not an entry barrier to an industry? Expected competitors' retaliation, economic of scale, customer product loyalty, and the bargaining power of the supplier. So these are the questions who are directly or indirectly related with all the need assessments. All the customers are related with that this thing. Then all the people who are working in the organization, competitors, etc. Then the selection process and the development process as well as the training process are concerned. So I'm quite sure that you are in a position to understand the topic well related with the need assessment, which comprises of few points which I just want to relate again. That is the different type of learning theories. Then social theory is there, reimbursement theory is there. Then there are some other theories are related to that. That is the goal theories, goal orientation is there, and how you are making the training program. This depend upon the goal orientation and goal theory because it should be related with the goal of the organization, which will be helpful for the organization to grow much more effectively and better in future. So I am quite sure that you are able to understand the whole topic, and in the meantime, please try to attempt these questions also. And I think these are simple questions which you have to just put the logic and you are in a position to give the answer for these questions. So this is all about regarding the need assessments are concerned, which is related with the training and development, and in turn it is related with human resource planning and the human resource management is concerned. So this is all from my side. Thank you very much.